really good process. I think you focus on the process, make sure we're operating at a really high level, just especially the coaching staff on the headsets, on the sideline, all the communication that goes into this thing. I think a lot of good stuff there. Certainly there's things that we're going to learn and grow from in every aspect of this organization.
Kellen Moore, maybe an understated part of Sunday's preseason game against the Chargers, was coaching his first game as an NFL head coach. It was a preseason game, but that was still his first opportunity to go run the operation on game day. Saints lost 27-13. You'll hear me say it over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. I do not care about the result of a preseason game. I don't care that they lost 27-13. It is not in any way ever played out or executed or handled like it would on an actual NFL Sunday. Just for example, at the end game scenario where the Saints were just trying to get through the game and then they ran out Charlie Smith for a 50-yard field goal attempt. Like, if that were an NFL Sunday, you're not attempting that field goal, but they wanted to get Charlie Smith an opportunity to get out there and kick a field goal in the game. So, fine, all good. The Browns beat the Panthers 30-10. The Patriots won 48-14 against the Commanders. It doesn't matter. Like, the result of the game, the final score doesn't matter. What I try to glean from preseason is individual performances or position group performances from groups that, A, need work or and experience, like the Saints quarterbacks, or B, guys that are trying to earn a roster spot. Like, that's what I'm looking for when I go watch a Saints preseason game. So I'll give you some of my good and then some of the bad and what I'd like to see moving forward. But the most important thing, and I know Kellen Moore after the game didn't give an update, and as of right now, we still haven't seen an update, but the injuries to Trevor Penning and Will Clapp, and I guess secondarily to Bub Means, are maybe the most significant thing to come out of this game. Penning missed the bulk of his rookie season with an injury he suffered in preseason. And after that, he's been really durable. I mean, Trevor Penning, we forget because he's been maligned because he hasn't played very well, but he's played every game the last two seasons. I mean, he's played all 17 games each of the last two seasons. He has been in a position group that has not been durable. He has been available. So we'll see. He went off to the sideline, went to the injury tent, came out of the tent, then they carted him to the locker room. Same with Will Clapp and same with Bub Means. Maybe the whole carting them to the locker room is just something that they're doing now in the NFL. I don't know, but both Penning and Clapp clearly had lower leg injuries. Both had their cleats off when they were being carted to the sideline. The Penning one is potentially really damaging because that's your starting left guard, and you finally moved into a position that probably suits him well. And here's hoping he's fine and he's able to go by the time you play Arizona on September the 7th. But if Penning can't go, there's a giant question of what's next. Like, is that Shane Lemieux? Is that Dylan Radins? Who is that's going to play left guard for you if Penning is injured? And similarly, Will Clapp was a virtual lock to make this team. Will Clapp played 2 seasons in L.A. where Kellen Moore was the offensive coordinator. And because of his versatility at center and guard and his NFL experience going into his 8th NFL season, Clapp was a virtual lock to make this team if he's healthy. So the most important thing to come out of Sunday is going to be the health of those two guys, because those are two guys that are going to make your 53-1 as a starter. So let's see where it goes from there. I'll give you some good, and this is probably not the place you thought I was going to start. I thought the Saints are really good on special teams. In the return game, Kendre Miller had a kickoff return for 36 yards. Velus Jones had a kickoff at the end of the game for 46 yards. I thought they were quite good there. Blake Grupe made his lone field goal attempt of 31 yards. Charlie Smith, as we mentioned, made a 50-yarder there at the end of the game. He really struggled with consistency. Both Kai Kroger and James Burnip had 3 punts apiece. Burnip pinned 2 inside the 20-yard line. Kroger averaged 46.3 yards per punt, had a long of 52. You recovered a muffed punt in the first quarter. I thought special teams were good. I know that's not necessarily a thing that you want to lead with, but that was the first big standout that I had. I know we're going to talk a ton about the quarterbacks, and there wasn't much that was inspiring from Spencer Rattler. He lost a fumble on the strip sack. Dylan Radins let the end come around from the right offensive end. So Rattler had the strip sack. But he was 7 of 11 for 53 yards. He protected the football, at least in the air. Both Hainer and Shuck threw interceptions. There wasn't a whole lot to inspire confidence. But I loved Tyler Shuck's 2-minute drill before half. And after the game, Kellen Moore had thoughts on that possession, because that was Shuck's first possession. The Saints got the ball right before half with a 2-minute opportunity. They let Shuck go run it, and he came up with a field goal. Here was Kellen Moore. It's number 7.
Not the script you paint that say, hey, your first drive is going to be a 2-minute drive right before half, but just the way the series worked, that's what presented itself. I thought he just did a really good job. Just found completions, handled it really well, understood the situations, when we can use the sideline, when we can take completions, get in field position, even at the end, understanding that situation where we have no timeouts and, hey, we want to get a shot in the end zone, but if it's not there, we got to protect the field goal opportunity. I thought he did a really good job there.
They went 10 plays, 52 yards in a minute 33. They faced a 3rd and 1 where the penalty gave them the first down, and then the only other 3rd down they faced was the 3rd and 5 with 14 seconds left. And Shuck, as you heard Kellen say, they threw it away to protect the field goal opportunity, and Groupie nailed it. So to come up with points there at the end of the first half, when you got the ball, the Saints took over that possession. They took over the possession at with a minute 38 to go in the half, and came away with points. I thought that was really encouraging. I thought, obviously, Tyler Shuck's touchdown pass to Mason Tipton was a beautiful ball, and Mason Tipton got wide open, and Shuck found him. But it was not just the touchdown pass; it was also the response after the pick six. So Shuck throws a pick six, comes right back, boom. The deep touchdown pass to Mason Tipton. This was Shuck talking about coming back after that interception to throw the touchdown pass.
Yeah, I think for me, I was on the sideline just smiling. We were like, hey, man, this is part of it. I'm throwing that 9 times out of 10. It's the exact look we wanted. He made a really good play and jumped it. So we knew we were going to get the ball back and just go drive down the field and score. And everybody was on the same page. So it was good. Stuff like that happens. It was good to go bounce back and let it rip.
I thought there were some good defensive standouts individually. Isaiah Stalberg was all over the field. He had 8 tackles. I like the young linebackers on this team. DeMario's long in the tooth, and Pete Werner's been a really good player but had injury issues. Isaiah Stalberg was really good, and so is Danny Stutzman. We talked about it on Friday. Stutzman didn't practice much in the last practice because they were going to give him a lot of run in this preseason game, and he showed up and ended up with 3 tackles and really flashed all over the field. Christian Boyd, former draft pick, had a sack. I thought Chris Rumph played really well, and this sort of dovetails into one of the bad, which was Isaiah Foskey. Isaiah Foskey played effectively the entire game and did not record a stat. I don't know what else there is to say about Isaiah Foskey at this point. We've all said it. He's a second-round pick. He's a bust. You used a top 50 pick on Isaiah Foskey, and he just can't impact the game. It's another bust when you drafted an edge rusher. Throw it in there with Marcus Davenport and with Peyton Turner. You used a pick that you would typically expect to get a starter out of that pick, and you can't even get a contributor. This is a guy in Isaiah Foskey that I don't think makes the roster, especially if you have a guy like Chris Rumph, who, remember, has that experience with Brandon Staley in L.A., and I thought Chris Rumph was really good in this game. He came away with 3 tackles. He had a sack in the ball game as well. He had a quarterback hit and a TFL. So if Rumph keeps playing that way, that's a better rotational piece than Foskey, who's only hanging around because you used a draft pick on him. I thought that. So those guys, I thought, defensively played really, really well. And how about Kendre Miller? The disappointment was the stuff at the goal line. That was hardly his fault. But Kendre Miller, when healthy, is kind of showing you what he's capable of. Now, can he stay healthy? Can he stay on the field? Kendre had 6 carries for 15 yards. That's not going to pop, no doubt. But he did also have the kickoff return, which I mentioned, for 36 yards. And there were times where he looked fast and active and strong and powerful. And as a number 2 behind Alvin Kamara, I like that a good bit if he can stay on the field and prove to be a valuable asset. The bad, after the muffed punt, you took over at their 17 and came away with no points. I have no problem whatsoever with the decision that the Saints made to go for it. I mean, look, it's a preseason game. You took over at their 17-yard line, and Kendre got 8 yards on first down. It's 2nd and 2 from the 9. Kendre Miller ran for 4 yards to get a first and goal at the 5, and then you went backwards. Rattler was sacked. Rattler scrambled for a yard, and you went for it on 4th and goal, and Miller got blown up for a loss of 3 yards. That sucks. Your offensive line has to be better, and at that point, you had your starting offensive line in. Now, Clapp was out after just the second play, so you had Torricelli Simpkins in there, the rookie out of South Carolina at center, but the rest of that line was your starting offensive line. And you had 4th and goal at the 1. Give me a yard. That was disappointing. If I go through the other things that are disappointing outside of Foskey and that red zone stuff, again, you had 4 offensive line starters playing in this game. You sat McCoy, but the other 4 guys, your other 4 starters were all in there. And it was not good. So you've invested so much draft capital with 4 first-round picks into that offensive line. They've got to be good, and they got to be better than they were on Sunday. Maybe they can. Kelvin Banks' first action ever. Fuaga, who, by the way, was your highest-rated player on PFF, is that right tackle. You lost Clapp, then you lost Trevor Penning due to injury. So I don't want to overreact to this, but that unit wasn't good a year ago, and I and lots of us blamed the injuries, but clearly it's more than that, and that unit's got to get better. We talked about Shucks' interception. Hayner's interception was absolutely awful out in the flat, and then DJU comes off the bench and spins a 49-yard dime, and then Rocket Sanders is in the end zone the next play. But the 2 guys covering on that play are 2 guys that very likely aren't even going to make the roster. I'm trying to get, if you'll forgive me, I chart numbers a lot instead of let's see. It was 35 and 37 who were on the coverage. Forgive me, I'm trying to get it. It was that was it. It was Dallas Beanham and who's 35? Sorry. It really doesn't matter. But anyway, it was Dallas Beanham and I can't find it. A guy that's not going to make the team. So whatever. Elliott Davison. Sorry, that was it. Dallas Beanham and Elliott Davison got burned deep on that one. So again, I don't want to overreact to that because those are guys that aren't going to make this team. But it was a pretty ugly play. So when you look at what's next, the Saints will stay out in L.A. Kellen Moore did say they're going to try to do some joint practices with the Rams while they're out there in L.A., which would be great. I think you get a lot of value out of that, maybe even more so than a preseason game. I'm curious to see if Tyler Shuck will get the start in the next preseason game. The next preseason game, by the way, is at home against Jacksonville. I want to see if these young defenders can continue to play well like some of them did. I want to see if the offensive line can play better. And I'm not going to overreact to the result of the first preseason game, but definitely want to see the offensive line perform better. And you hope to see more out of Spencer Rattler if he's going to be the guy. And if not, maybe Tyler Shuck can make that move and ultimately be the game 1 star. He's got a couple of weeks to see if he can figure that out. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.